Okay, I'm in downtown Brooklyn on the border of neighborhood of Boerum Hill, and what I'm going to try to answer in this video is, should you stay in downtown Brooklyn rather than Manhattan if you're coming to New York? And we'll go around several of the major streets of downtown Brooklyn so you can get a feel for it. There's a lot of new apartment buildings that have been built here, as well as new hotels. But not a whole lot of restaurants, as you'll see. So that's one. Not a lot of stores to shop at either. But here's one of the hotels, Even Hotels. And I'm sure the hotels themselves are artsy and funky and nice, and they're new. So those are all pluses. This is Shimmerhorn Street, one of the main east-west streets. There's some new construction going on. Here's a Holiday Inn, very new. So that's one thing you'll see is new hotels, and you'll also see new construction going on. So I'd say a couple of years ago, this is also brand new, this apartment building. And these are upscale places too. This one is under construction here. I'd say a couple years ago, you would find a lot of construction and not too many hotels. Well, there's still a lot of construction, but there's more hotels. And maybe it's a little quieter than it used to be. There's a lot of subway station stops here in downtown Brooklyn. A lot of city bike docks. Get a bike. So there's lots of ways to get here and get around here. In terms of if you want to get to Manhattan, other than taking a cab or Uber or Lyft. Some of the new entrances to the subway station are new, others are kind of old and played out. So it's a mix. I think it depends on the block you're on, but it can be kind of dead at night. A lot of the office workers, when they're here, they will get out of town. But here's a Hilton Hotel coming up on the left. I'm sure it's very nice. Also large. It might be a combination of a hotel and an apartment building, like you'll see a lot of in New York. Alright, now we're on J Street. We'll go down Livingston here, which runs parallel to Shimmerhorn. And there's some older style buildings which add a lot of character. I love this building here on the left with the Romanesque style arches. A lot of government offices, city and state offices are down here. This is a brand new architect designed by a female architect from Chicago, Jean Gang, which looks a lot like a Frank Gehry type building. Some people say, I think they're right, but imitation's the greatest form of flattery. So a lot of new construction to feel good about. But it is construction still going on, so downtown Brooklyn's not done yet. It's closer to being done than it was a couple of years ago, like I mentioned. There's an old saying by people who are from New York originally but have moved away. They say they'll move back to New York when it's finished, because New York's always under construction. But that's especially the case here in downtown Brooklyn. Alright, now we're going to go on a little side street here over to Fulton Street, which also doesn't have a whole lot of shopping options, even though it's viewed as the shopping street of downtown Brooklyn. But I don't think you'll get excited by a lot of the choices here, unless you want to get sneakers. You see a lot of scaffolding, sidewalk sheds where there's a lot of the very so-so buildings have been knocked down and are going to build new buildings in place of them. Here we are at Flatbush again, so I'm going to turn around and go back the other way on Fulton. Take another look at Jean Gang's building. Still under construction. So Fulton, they actually closed to cars, but not buses, and delivery trucks also use the street, and bikes. And sometimes you'll see cars that are allowed to just be on it for if they're coming on a cross street and they have to use Fulton for a little bit. This is an old bank building that's being incorporated into a new mega development. Some of the high rises under construction or just recently finished. This is a new shopping mall, Trader Joe's, Century 21. Recently it was all boarded up and unfortunately coming back to life after a pretty rough June that we had in New York. I'm filming this on a Wednesday in the morning, July 15th. But they used to call Fulton Street, maybe they still do, some people do, call it the Fulton Street Mall. But it's not what most people would picture as a mall. Still some old, beautiful old buildings here. tended to see more hotels over on Schimmerhorn. There's a few more in downtown Brooklyn. Sort of like the old Fulton Street. These kind of stores. That's what the whole street used to be like. Kind of a failed experiment at closing it off to cars, but still having it be like a major bus way. Never really regenerated the street. More new construction. So there's certain streets here that are just one new hotel after the other. I'm going to take you down one of them. Go around this direction. This is an old fire headquarters building. Look at the Romanesque arch. Beautiful. So there's some real diamonds in the rough here. And there's a Marriott hotel. And we're going through the Metro Tech complex, a fairly new, kind of standard looking office buildings that when everything's back to normal, there's a lot of people that work in them. So we can pass underneath the buildings here, which if you're biking, it's nice to do during a rainstorm. So another street. We'll go to this next street. There's kind of like a pedestrian plaza over there. They try different things there for provide a little entertainment for the mostly the office workers. So this is an interesting street because it still has a bit of the old Brooklyn. And they're always talking about, oh, they might demolish these buildings for more high-rise development. Go down this one last block there just to end the video, just to show you where all the hotels are. And like I mentioned, I haven't been able to point out a whole lot of restaurants, unless there's restaurants in the hotels. But here's a Loft Hotel, part of the W2, and a Starbucks. There's still construction going on in this immediate area, so actually we're a couple of hotels side by side there. So when this whole area is done, it'll be a much nicer place to stay, but you have to factor that in, whether it's worth it, the money you might save over staying in Manhattan versus staying here in downtown Brooklyn. And there's another one of the subway stops. Alright, so I'll leave it to you to decide. This is downtown Brooklyn in July of 2020. Thanks for coming along with me.